The discussion. Okay, so what are some ideas? What are some things that you all shared out about this visual? Let's hear from some folks that we haven't heard from. Try and make this as interactive as we can because I know sit and gets are not good.
There's an established pattern there.
Okay, great. Okay, an established pattern. Okay, good. What else?
We were saying, just kind of looking through it, that a lot of the stuff that it has is stuff that we had kind of already been doing.
Isn't that
a lot
nice
of
to
simple-
hear? Yes. There's a lot of, hopefully you saw in there's a lot of practices that are already going on. And it's just a matter of putting them together in the right way. Okay, what else?
I also think it's flexible, like you don't have to have core supporting questions. Yeah, I also said I throw like some of those things you said, don't always do this, like the coloring, and like I'll throw an activity in there and then we'll do a formative task. Make it fun, don't just throw a bunch of sources. Just in between there say, oh, we're gonna do a coloring thing today, we're gonna make something that's really like fun and cute.
Notice that sources does not mean primary or secondary sources. You can use anything. You can use an artifact, you can use a map, you can create an image, you can do something to break this up and provide that novelty. Okay? All right, so one thing that helps, and this is going to be 2 sheets down, I put it in the wrong order, so I apologize, but this, to me, this is a visual worth having on my desk all the time. It's this one. I think it's right after types of compelling questions. It's the last one on the left. Okay? I love this visual because what Ryan did with this, and this is completely him. What Ryan did was this, he took all of the pieces and he showed you how this could be embedded with literacy. So those of you in elementary who oftentimes struggle with how am I going to teach social studies, here is your framework. You have your literacy connections. Upper elementary through high school, here's where you can embed authentic literacy into your classroom. If you are doing sourcing, contextualization, corroboration, close reading, you're doing a literacy strategy. If they're making claims and counterclaims, generalizations, explanations, they're doing authentic literacy. So when you structure an inquiry, you actually are structuring authentic literacy within your classroom. Oftentimes we don't really know what authentic literacy should look like in a social studies classroom. I've heard that a lot over the years. I've struggled with it myself. But this is how you could do that. Structuring argumentation, this is the way we go. How do we use our disciplinary literacy skills? This is how we go, okay? So this is a visual, I think, that could be very, very helpful to kind of remind ourselves that what we're doing is, number one, the right thing to do. What we've been doing is good. And am I doing some close reading? Hey, I'm doing a literacy skill. Am I having them write descriptions, which is also a formative performance task? Hey, that could be used as an assessment. That could also be used for feedback. I'm also doing literacy. So again, we want to work smarter, not harder. And if we get good at inquiry, it allows us to really do all of these pieces together. Okay? So, compelling questions. The thing that frames the inquiry, compelling questions, are always intellectually rigorous. Don't mistake rigorous for difficult. Our rules, why do we need rules? That is rigorous. Because once you dive into it, you start to think about what time period am I talking about? Part of the world am I talking about? What type of government am I talking about? It's rigorous because you add all this complexity to it. You want to have student friendly. Going back to our rule, why do we have rules? Is that student friendly? Can students of any grade level understand that? Argumentative. You always want to make sure it's argumentative. Always. And these can, if you use them right, frame units. Here at the high school, we have units that have compelling questions. And the supporting questions drive the individual instructions. First time we've ever done this, so if this experiment fails horribly, it's my fault. And I promise you my department will let me know. So I've already told them that they need to let me know. You know, sometimes compelling questions don't work, and that's why you need to work through them. Supporting questions are specific. They are tied to a discipline and a standard, if not multiple standards. So you can create supporting questions that are multidimensional. They are grounded in the content. These are the pieces that frame your lessons. This doesn't frame your lesson. This frames your lesson. This frames your instruction. This frames the kind of sources and the types of sources that you want to use to work through the inquiry. I threw this in here because I wanted to, I'm not going to talk about this a whole lot. We're running out of our time before our break. But I do have a visual on here. It is, I think it's the second page now? No, it's in the first set. This is in there that shows you how you can use the discussion cycle. Again, this year, it's going to look different. So that's why I'm not going to spend a lot of time. But I wanted you to see how this could be used. And just so you are aware, oops. Go back. This is how quickly a discussion cycle can go. So if you don't think you can use discussion in your classroom, you can structure individual, group, whole class. Total cycle takes about 11 minutes. And think about your bang for your buck. Kids love to talk. Give them a purpose to talk. Give them something to talk about that is intriguing and rises to their curiosity levels. And they want to talk about more because they have different opinions about it. That's what you want to hear in discussion in a social studies classroom. It only takes about 11 minutes. So once we get back to whatever normal we're going to, please think about using discussion cycles in your classroom. I know that right now is not the time to spend a lot of time on this because of our social distancing parameters, but I wanted this in here to show you how this could work. Now, here's the other thing. If you are going to use Google Meets for online, if we do have to go to distance learning, there is an extension on Google that allows you to do breakout rooms. So keep that in the back of your mind. You could put students into breakout rooms to talk about these sources before pulling them back and you can hop into them to make sure they're talking about it. Okay? Because Zoom is no longer free. But Google has really picked up the slack with what Zoom was offering. But that's one thing we're going to be looking at here at high school is how to use those breakout rooms and training folks on how to do that. I think Mr. Cole found a 5-minute video on how to do it on YouTube. So if you're ambitious and want to go check it out, team up with some of your colleagues and see how it goes. So we could do this virtually. It's just going to take some planning. Just going to take some planning. Okay? So the next page in here, there is a page in here, it says types of compelling questions. There are different types depending on what you want to do with your inquiry. What I've done for you is I put a definition and some examples. The examples Some of them are elementary, some of them are middle, some of them are high school, but I guarantee you're not gonna be able, except for maybe one or two, you're not gonna be able to tell which ones are which. So, broad brush, big issues. This is your big issues. This is, why do we need rules? What is justice? Is everyone unique? I mean, think about those. Those are great compelling questions that could go into a multitude of different, contexts, eras, everything. Case study. You're looking at very specific things. Personalized. Am I gonna vote? Great inquiry for high school students. Why do I have to be responsible? Great for any level. Analytical. So that one is really kind of laser focused in on one piece or one thing. Comparative. Which is better, a map or a globe? Okay? Evaluative. So students need to evaluate. There's no one right or wrong answer. Problem-based. Now talk about a good one. This would be a great one. Should freedom be sacrificed in the name of national security? Could we apply that to today? And the mask mandate and the stay-at-home mandates. Different mandates coming from different levels of government. That one